Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast, episode 43.
Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. My name is Chuck Solanas, and I'm joined by our very, very special guest, Jacob Kashiwagi.
Oh, I see. Okay. So this is how you do this.
And also another special guest, David Krassa. So David, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I work as an engineer. I work at the largest construction site in the U.S. I worked with Dr. Jacob when I was at ASU and with LSA. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really happy to be here, Chuck.
Well, great. So David is on our podcast today to ask some questions. So David, can you ask your first question?
Yeah, my first question is, I assume everybody that listens to you kind of like knows how this goes. And I always think, how is Dr. Jacob so positive, like all the time? And how are you positive all the time?
I don't know. Good question. Okay, but my first question to that is, well, what are you calling positive?
I think positive can be maybe like a little bit unrealistic of thinking, oh, everything is always going to work out. And you always seem to have this personality of, don't worry about it, it's going to work out.
Okay. Now, are you saying that believing it will always work out is unrealistic, meaning that there's a lot of times where things won't work out, and that's why people aren't positive?
Uh, well, maybe I should tell you, my natural instinct is to always be looking for what could go wrong,
Yes.
because that helps me be prepared. I don't want to be surprised with bad things happening, like bad things happening.
I don't like being surprised with bad things either.
So thinking like this makes people think that I'm not a positive person because I'm always looking for like the bad stuff.
Yes. So can you not be positive while also trying to prevent bad things from happening? Or in your mind, can you be positive and also kind of be like trying to prevent risk from happening and bad things from happening as you go along in life?
Well, I would think maybe your mindset would have to be one or the other, because sometimes to be positive, you hear people saying that you should focus on the good. But then if you're focusing on the good, then you're not paying attention to what could go bad.
Got it. Okay. Now let me ask you another question. When you look at me being positive, do you feel my positivity is unrealistic? Like I'm positive in ways in which it's actually not going to work out, or it hasn't worked out in the past, but I was still positive about it.
I think you're positive in the way that, like, even if something bad happens, you're still going to be good. But everybody around you gets like really stressed out.
Yes.
So
Okay, so let me ask you. I think I get what you're saying, and I have an answer to your question now.
okay.
Okay, I can always be positive because it all hinges on what you consider bad. Right?
Okay.
If you're looking into the future and if you don't see anything bad, then you're always going to be positive, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm always positive. Because when I look into the future, I actually don't see anything or have experienced anything that I would consider bad, right? Because what you consider bad is something that you consider like it shouldn't happen, or if it happens, it'll cause me pain,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But if you look into the future and anything that happens is going to be what you think is good for you and not causing you pain and work, everybody gets what they need, then you'll always be happy.
Okay, I get that. That makes sense. But then, can that make you like a little bit like tone deaf? Because, people might come to you and will tell you, "Oh, this bad thing happened," but you're like, "Oh no, that's actually a good thing." And so you're like not validating their feelings.
Yeah, so you mean, could it happen that people come and talk to me and they go away thinking, um, wow, Jacob just said that all these bad things are good for me
Yeah,
and not like me at all?
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, no, but here's the thing. If I can look out into the future and realize that nothing is bad, like, you might hear my child crying in the background. Some people might be like, that's really bad being on a podcast and recording it and all. But since I don't look at it as bad, then, I'm okay. Now, at the same time, if I understand other people, even though I can remain positive and I don't see anything as bad, I should be able to recognize what makes other people feel uncomfortable. So the
Okay.
majority of time, I try to keep my child from crying when I'm doing a podcast, or keep them in another room or out and about. But because sometimes it makes people feel like, oh, that's not the best thing. So you can be positive and not see anything bad happen, but still not be tone deaf, meaning you realize that other people don't look at things exactly that way. But that's
Okay.
a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, so how do you do that? Because it sounds like what you're saying is you're okay if the kid is crying or if the kid is not crying, you're good either way.
Yes.
Yeah, how?
How you? Okay, so there's a couple of ways. One, you have to just be really, really smart. you
Okay.
you have to understand a lot about life and see into the future and know exactly what's going to happen and realize exactly what the implications of that is. Some people are able to do that right off, but then there's other people like me, and I need to do it through learning. So like I'm always positive now, but I didn't always like have this positivity when I was younger. When I was younger, I would always worry a lot more, and I'd always be upset. I'd always be like fearful about what's going on, and I wouldn't always look at things the way I do now. But after you go through so many things in life that you thought were bad, and then you see the outcome, and then you start realizing, oh, these things actually helped me become who I am and were actually helpful. And going through all these experiences for so many years and always seeing it always work out, then you start to develop this idea of realizing, oh, yeah, everything is going to be okay. I don't have to worry about anything. And then you're always happy.
Okay, but then what about when maybe you can pinpoint things that keep you from being positive? Like whenever I hang out with this person, something terrible always happens. You can't be positive hanging out with that person because something terrible is going to happen.
That's true. In that case, I would make sure I never hang out with that person again. I'm kidding with you. No, if that's okay, so look. So I think we're realizing that positivity is all mindset. It's all how you're looking at life. It's all what you consider bad. And so if there's bad things that happen to you in certain situations where you can't be positive, like talking to a certain person or talking about a certain subject, whatever it might be, I think you have to figure out what in your perception is causing you to like be worried about your future, not look at things happily, not see things in a good light. Does that make sense though?
Yeah. So what about, there's also an idea of kind of like karma or like positivity, like being contagious. Is there any truth to that?
No, I don't think so. No,
Well,
let's put it this way. If positivity is a mindset, it's a way of looking at things, it's a way of seeing life, realizing, that nothing's bad that's going on and things like that, then the only way someone can be positive is if they see it, if they understand it. And that's not something that you can get off of someone else per se. It's something you have to see,
okay.
right? Now, what I do believe is that people who are understanding and positive, they tend to attract other positive and understanding people.
Okay.
So a lot of times it might look like positivity is infectious. That, oh yeah, this person's positive, and then this person comes and they become positive and whatnot. A lot of times it might look like, oh, this person is kind of infecting and is contagious. But in reality, I believe that if someone's really positive, they just attract other positive people to them, other understanding people.
I see. So if you're not positive and you're trying to be positive, I would think that you would want to hang out with positive people. But what you're saying is that it like doesn't matter.
It does. Because the only people who will want to hang out with other positive people are people who are what?
Positive.
And who want to understand and who want to be happier, right?
Oh, okay. So you might it's like a puzzle piece. Like your positivity might not match up first, but maybe you both can relate on like trying to be a better person.
Yes, no one's at the exact same level, but you tend to go around people that you're headed in that direction already.
Okay. What do you think of the idea of like fake it till you make it? How does that apply with positivity?
You know, fake it till you make it is a good thing, I believe. Because even if you're not the happiest or not the most positive, at least if you fake it, then at least it's better than like acting out your anger, acting out your negativity, right? So even though, yes, you don't get the full benefit of being positive because you're kind of faking it, at least it's better than just outright saying, I'm going to be negative and I'm always going to be negative and I'm never going to try and see the bright side to things, right?
Okay, I get that. That makes sense. Have you ever heard, I don't know how recent it is, but the idea of like feeling your feelings?
Feeling your feelings. I haven't really heard about that idea before.
So feeling your feelings, as I understand it, is that, sometimes you're driving and you feel like, man, I just want to cry for no reason. You just want to cry.
Yeah.
So you'll pull up like the song that you know will make you cry, just so you can
Uh,
cry.
yes,
So,
I've done
or
that before.
does that go against like what you said though, of like faking it till you have it? Uh,
It doesn't. It doesn't. And it's perfectly fine for people to do that. And here's the reason. is if you feel sad, or if you want to listen to a sad song, it's not for like no reason,
Okay.
right? It's because you're sad. Or if you want to listen to like a song that's angry or whatnot, it's not for no reason. It's actually you feel that way and you want to feel that way for some reason. It could be because something like terrible happened, or someone made you like did something that was really, bad to you.
Okay.
But I don't think like the song makes you cry, or the song makes you feel that way, or whatever thing, movie, or whatever you want to look at makes you feel that way. I think how you feel, you're looking for that outside of you. And so if you're at a point in your life where you don't want to look for positivity and you can't even fake it, I mean, hey, that's everyone gets to a point where they, they're at a low in their life, or they're at a point in their life where they don't want to look for happiness, or they don't want to look for positivity in what's going on.
Okay.
But hopefully that doesn't last too long.
If somebody is maybe at that point, how do you help that person, or what would you tell that person?
What I usually tell people when they feel certain ways is, hey, if you feel this way and you want to feel this way, go for it.
Be the best crier you can.
You go find the best song that's going to make you feel the worst.
You find the movie where the dog dies.
But what I find is that as long as people know what they want, or they try and figure out what they want, if they go looking for that sad song, the quicker they're honest with themselves and they're honest with what they want and how they feel, the quicker they're going to be able to find something that's going to make them happy, is what I've seen in the past.
Okay.
Right? It's not good for someone to fake it if they don't want to fake it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I actually believe that people should look and should embrace how they feel about things.
Okay. Do you think people have like a neutral feeling? Like just when people wake up, some people are neutral and some people are happy and some people are sad?
Yes, I believe that a lot of people feel blah, especially nowadays. It's like I call blah when you like wake up, or when you're doing something and it's like you're just like, it doesn't matter. you, you don't feel any any way like you want to do it or you don't want to do it. You're just there, and
It's like going through the motions.
Yeah, I think people call that meh today.
Meh. Yeah, or it's like in the old games of The Sims, when you can put your little sim guy to just be in auto mode while you go and build or something.
Yeah. Now, I don't think that's necessarily, the most beneficial in terms of finding like positivity and happiness, but it is, I think, how a lot of people feel nowadays.
So when you wake up, do you wake up at neutral and then decide to like be positive, or do you wake up and you're like, man, this can be amazing from just the get-go?
More than most of the time, or the majority of the time, I actually wake up and I'm excited for the day. Yeah.
Okay, and, not weird at all.
And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm like, hey, let's go, like I'm shouting my fight song or anything, but it's I'm just like, I look forward to the day, usually. I look forward to waking up usually. I'm not like over aggressive about it and like, I'm just like crazy energy, but I wake up and I feel good. And I look forward to the day, what's going to happen, being on this podcast, all sorts of stuff.
Does that make you tired?
It used to. Because I used to think that being happy and positive, I had to be a certain way that is not natural for me. Right? Because sometimes you look out and some people, like, when they go out, they're like talking to everybody. They're like really high energy. They're always like shouting at football games or, whatnot, or cheering at concerts and whatnot. And when I was younger, I thought, oh, that's what you have to be positive and to be happy and whatnot. And then it got me tired. And then it got me so that I wasn't happy and positive. So I had to learn for myself, like, what is happiness? What is being positive in my life? And more often than not, it's not really like shouting or being energetic or whatnot, but it's just like I look at life, I enjoy what I'm doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be an outward expression that I'm enjoying it, but in my mind, I'm like, I enjoy this, I like this. And yeah, and it does involve a lot of smiling. I do like to smile. But other than that, yeah, someone outside could be looking at me. I'm just a regular guy,
And then they talk to you and they're like, whoa, 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 you got to bring it from here to here. Whoa. Okay, I get that. Yeah, it's like the idea of mentally preparing to go out. And so you got to turn it on. You turn it on to what you think is what enjoyment looks like.
Yeah, so the less you have to turn it on, and the more you just know when you're enjoying something and you're comfortable being you. I think that's the best way. That positivity won't get you tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now this last one.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more time we have, but I just heard this recently, that sometimes when you're raised in a tough environment and you get put into like a survival mode, your mind actually freaks out whenever you enjoy something. Because if you're enjoying something, it means you have downtime. If you have downtime, you should be doing something, or there's like risk to slowing down.
Yes, I've heard of that before, and I think it's true.
Okay, so is there a way where you can be, maybe you're in high school and you're really stressed out, you're in survival mode. How can you still be happy? Or maybe you have very low resources. How can you still have like a positive mindset?
This is a really tough one. And unfortunately, if I had an easy answer to this would be another thing that would make me a very wealthy man. But unfortunately, the only answer to this is going to be, you have to be able to discipline yourself. It's going to take a high level of self-control, as well as you're going to have a very big desire to overcome it, because it's going to take conscientious effort and a lot of help from other people to turn this around. So let me give you an idea. Like, for example, and this goes in a lot of different ways. It's like you hear a lot of times when a child's raised and like their parents discipline them in a certain way on certain things, that like their punishment might, as they get older, now, even though it might not be a bad thing, but to them, they just can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
It evokes a reaction because of how they were raised up. And for me, this was like going to class. Many Asians, you got to go to class. You don't go to class, it's like you're on the road to complete failure for your entire life. You don't go to school class. And for me, when I went to college, I started going to class, and for the first time when I started to realize what was going on, I started to think, why am I wasting my time going to certain classes? Because you got to go to class. It's college. You miss class, you're going to fail. And I started to test my limits, right? Because in my mind, it was like, you don't go to class, this is a bad thing. Because that's what my parents evoked in me. That's what school system evoked me, everybody. When I started to miss my what is that? The class on rocks and stuff.
Geology.
Yeah, when I started, I couldn't even remember the name. Okay, so geology. It wasn't one of my core classes. I didn't care about it at all. It was a pretty easy class, to be honest with you. And going to the lectures, it was just as good as reading the book. So I decided, I had friends in the class. I decided I'm not going to waste my time going to class. I'm just going to read the book, then go in and take the test, and whatever I get, I get. So the first couple of times, in fact, that whole semester missing that class, I rarely ever went. I felt so bad. It gave me so much stress missing that class that it almost wasn't even worth it for me not to go to the class. I should have just went. But I made a conscientious effort not to do it because I told myself, you have to change this mentality. As you get, I was taking 20 something credit hours sometimes a semester. I couldn't go to every class to be able to pass. I had to be able to feel comfortable not missing classes. And so it took me all the way to I started doing this my freshman year. It took me all the way to my junior year to feel comfortable when I didn't miss a class. But I actually, yeah, I had support of friends. I made sure someone always was going to class for me and knew what was going on. I had to sort out in my mind every time I missed, I said, okay, this is okay. The teacher doesn't require you to go to class, right? They weren't taking attendance, so they didn't say you had to go to class. So you're okay, you're not breaking any rules. I had to tell myself all these things every time, but it took a long time to get my body rewired and my mind to be rewired to say it's okay. And I feel that's what you have to do, when you have anything like that, when you're used to a certain way, when you're used to not having any free time, and then you have free time and you feel really bad about it, because you think something bad's going to happen, even though it's perfectly okay to have free time. It takes a lot of effort.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Thank you.
not a problem. So to recap, some things you can do to be positive, to reshape your mind so that you can be more positive. Let's go over a couple of them. One,
Skip class.
I don't recommend skipping class, but for me, I needed it. Okay. Okay, so one is keep track of things, document. And this is one I tell people to overcome a lot of issues. Like, for example, when I miss class, I document, did it really hurt me or not? And when you're going through life and bad things happen, you got to look at and say, okay, did this bad thing I think that was really bad, did it really affect me in a negative way in the future? And as you look at this, you'll start realizing, oh, things are actually better off than I thought they were. So document, track things, look at the result of what happens after things happen. Okay, second thing is talk to other people, right? As you go through things and whatnot, you're right. If you can't see it, but you want to be positive, talk to other positive people and ask them, why aren't you worried about this or that? And oftentimes, if you're open to it, you might be able to learn more things on how life works and how things will work out. So the second thing is talk to other positive people. Ask them why they're so happy in certain situations that you think they shouldn't be happy, that you think they should be worried in. Okay. Third is it's something you have to train yourself. So you have to be patient with yourself, and it takes time. And that's what you need to remember in being positive, is that you're not all of a sudden just going to be positive. You're going to have to learn, how do you exhibit being positive, right? Because you could be positive, but other people might look at you and think you're negative, right? But you're saying, hey, I'm okay, I'm fine with things and whatnot. I'm just pointing things out.
I just have that face.
Yes. So it takes time. You got to learn. Everybody's going to learn a different way and whatnot. And of course, the fourth is always have a mentor. A mentor is going to help you go through life being a lot more positive than not, because they're going to see the future. They're going to let you know when you don't have to worry about things, and it will be a lot easier for you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Great questions, David. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, thank you, David. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening, and viewers, I hope you enjoyed watching. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. It would be great if you could take a moment to write us a review. For any questions, comments, or topics that you would like to have addressed on the show, email the team at leadaz.org. To learn more about the Leadership Society of Arizona, visit us at leadaz.org.